Hi, everybody. This is Real News with Lucretia Hughes, and we're here for candidate for sheriff-elect. I'm just going to say candidate for sheriff-elect of Cobb County. That's David Cavender. Did I say it right?
It's Cavender, but it's close enough.
No, it ain't. It's Cavender. Cavender. Okay, this ain't gonna work. I'm country. Go ahead and pronounce that.
It's Cavender. Yeah.
It's like lavender.
Yeah. It'll be close enough.
I'm just gonna be like, Sheriff David, how you doing?
That works just fine.
So can you please tell us, why are you running for sheriff? That is the highest constitutional officer in any county, any city, pretty much statewide when it comes to individual counties, which is 159. What makes you want to step out there on faith? Because being a sheriff, that means that the buck stops with you, not DAs, not anyone else. The buck actually stops with you. And this is one of the largest counties in the state of Georgia and the fastest growing. What made you want to step up right now in this pivotal time in history to make your mark and leave your voice?
Well, I'll say to answer your question, there are several reasons. One, for the last, when I really started thinking about this, I really spent a lot more time trying to talk myself out of it than into it, but it just would not leave me, and it's ultimately like it was just a calling. So even with all the things I've experienced through here, and a lot of them have been great, and some of them not so great, but I've never really had any anxiety or over like scared or anything else, because I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do no matter how the election turns out. But when you watch what goes on with elected officials in DC, and over the decades we've just become accustomed to watching it's good for thee but not for me kind of mentality with elected officials. I feel when you see it in your own local community and you realize it's not just on TV, it's not just in Washington DC, it's right here, and it's destroying the community that you live in, that you work in, that you want to raise your children in. It was time for somebody to stand up and try to say not anymore, and we need to keep Cobb great.
Me just talking to a couple of people here, there's over 800,000 people in this county.
There is.
I'm shocked you don't have 20 police squad cars roaming the street at any given moment. You stretch from one side of DeKalb County all the way over to, how are you handling and the crime rates when there's not too many boots on the ground? Because you really cannot stop crime or a criminal if you don't have boots on the ground or actually having somebody out there in a patrol car. What is something that you want to see to make Cobb County turn in a little Kennesaw? Maybe you can do that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think a lot of policing in general is more of a proactive profession, right? We don't generally go out and arrest you before you commit the crime unless we have extenuating circumstances to know what you're about to do. So in general, law enforcement is always more of a proactive effort. How you can get to stopping crimes or deterring people to go somewhere else essentially is people should know that when they come to Cobb County, they're not going to be allowed to victimize our people in Cobb County. They're not going to be allowed to come up here and do whatever they want to do, and then know that if they get caught, they're just going to get a slap on the wrist, or they're going to get probation, which we see a lot. That they know the crimes are going to be enforced, and they're going to be prosecuted, and they're going to have to deal with the consequences of their actions. So until there's consequences to actions, I feel like people are emboldened to come up here and victimize the community. And with that, I'm not, I understand I'm not.
How hard is it to become a cop?
To become a cop? Well, I mean, it's a very lengthy process generally with the background checks and the physical fitness aspect of it and all that. But as most agencies across the country, and especially in Metro Atlanta, we're all short people right now. But even though we're short people, I think it's still crucially important to maintain the high level of the standard to get hired into law enforcement, because you do walk around with a weapon. You do have arrest powers. You can literally take someone's freedom. So no matter how short the profession gets, I don't believe the standards should be lowered.
Within the last, I'm going to say since 2008, Barack Obama era, police officers have gotten a bad name. Now growing up, that was a sense of security to know you have a uniform police officer, no matter if it was in the projects, no matter if it was in the backwoods, the back roads. We know, and most civilians know, when there's a squad car or a uniformed police, you have very low crime. But now that we know that crime is being skyrocketed across the stratosphere, do you think you could turn around that morale that has been really tainted within the last decade to make our officers have a bullseye on their back? What would you want to change? Because it's happening no matter if it's in Mayberry, North Carolina, all the way to Cobb County, or all the way over in Chatham County. What can you do to bring the morale back on the police force? But not only that, bring it to the street and into the corners.
Yeah, so I think a lot of what goes on, and especially back to 2008 and Obama with, I believe, in that era it was Trayvon Martin. But every election cycle, there's always something that gets blasted, and how the police are just out victimizing the citizens of the county. But I think the biggest thing you can do is be in the communities, build those foundations and those relationships with the community leaders and the people that live there, so that when times of crisis do arise, that they don't just react on emotion, and they will hear you out. And on that, I think it's also crucially important to enforce the law. Sometimes terrible things happen. Sometimes some stuff happens that unfortunately people do get arrested and they need to go to jail. So I think transparency is huge, and I said it when I was speaking there. The word transparency is tossed around as a buzzword, and people just want to hear it. They use it almost as a virtue signaling technique. I'm going to be transparent, and very few, if any, ever are transparent, actually. So I would like to get out in front of the communities, get in the neighborhoods, build those relationships before anything happens, so that when they do happen, you already have at least a foundation of trust, and you can go and have difficult conversations. Very few people actually want to have truthful and difficult conversations. Watch the politicians now in debates or anywhere else on national television. They get asked a question, they never answer the question.
What sets you aside from him? Because he has 20 some odd years in reserve. You have 15 years with boots on the ground, being out there in the hoods and the woods. What really sets you apart to, no matter what talking points his side have, what do you feel like you can connect with people from every walk of life?
Well, I'm really glad you asked that question. So, Greg Owens speaks a lot about his military. He had 36 years in the Army Reserves. He retired as an E9, which is the highest enlisted rank. I am currently, I just hit my 18th year. I'm still in the reserves. I'm an E7, which is also a senior NCO in the Army, just 2 levels down from what he retired at. He spent, I believe, close to 30 years with the police department, but a lot of, he brings up being a command sergeant major in the Army quite a bit. And one thing he does is he equates leadership ability to his rank that's been attained, which those dots don't connect. It's not that linear. Secondly, being an NCO, there's an NCO creed. And one of those parts of the creed, it talks about not using your greater position to attain pleasure, profit, or personal gain. And when you look at the way he's ran that sheriff's office, he's hired family members, he's given vendors special contracts that donate heavily to his campaigns. And while he was a command sergeant major in the Army and he did achieve that rank, he doesn't necessarily lead by some of the elements of the creed that you should lead by.
It's really not disrespectful, it's just the truth. Start calling him a cryptocrat. He's an elected politician that's using his position for money, power, and fame to get him places. So he's just a cryptocrat at the local level. But that's scary, because most people will never know that the elected sheriff is the highest constitutional law officer of the land. So me personally, start calling him out on the Constitution, because if he can't pick it up and stand up for his oath of office to defend us from internal and domestic and foreign enemies, not when you're in the bed with him. So I would just keep pointing that out.
And that's generally what I try to do. I just try to I point out the issues. I point out the issues, like what he said, what he was supposed to do, what he's actually done, and kind of the direction he's taken the agency and the repercussions that has on the county. And those issues are pointed out. They're published in the Merida Daily Journal and some other news outlets. And when they reach out to him and his camp for comment or rebuttal, They have yet to actually touch on any of the talking points or the issues I've brought up. They just try to berate me or bash me and essentially just say that I have no leadership abilities. But they never touch on any of the issues that are brought up. So I would just say if he is such an exceptional leader like he likes to tout, and he's such a visionary, look forward, visionary leader, he should be able to explain the issues that we see, and he should be able to explain those away as to why they're important and why he doesn't, yet he never does.
Well, here's a key phrase, the key for the next 43 to 47 days. This time around, talking point is not talking. One more time, the Democratic talking point is not to talk. So that goes from the top down. If you look from the president's race, vice president, Senate race, any of these races, when it's very tight, Democrats don't talk. They're called word salads. So if you run around the question, pivot from that question, never go and answer directly that question, and if you just don't talk, you already talked. So that's what they're doing now.
That's what they're doing at all levels.
All levels. So you're ready to have fun. Stick with the topics. Don't let them call you out. Don't let them call you any names. And stick to what you want to see on the beaten streets. And the rest of it, if you already got peace about it, you're already on the right path to begin with. So, and what they gonna do? Beat you up?
People try. But yeah, you can find me on the internet at Cavender4Cobb.com. That's CAVENDER 4 Cobb, the letter 4, or you can spell it out. It'll take you to the same website. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at Cavender for Cobb Sheriff. Those two generally stay a little bit more updated with pictures and real-time events as to where we're going to be. But reach out to any of those. You can also send emails. I get the emails personally, and I try to respond to all of them. So any questions you have, feel free to send them.